Welcome to Impact Innovations, where bold ideas meet real-world solutions. Join our host, Dr. Angela Gustis, as she dives in deep with thought leaders, change agents, and innovators who are making waves and moving mountains. So buckle up. Let's get ready to laugh, be inspired, and make an impact together. We're joined by two members of the sandwich generation, Tamika Thompson and Charity Hilton. Tamika Thompson is a seasoned realtor, senior real estate specialist, and the founder of the Aging Smart, Confident Planning for Home, Wealth, and Well-Being seminar series. A proud Baltimore native, Tamika is passionate about educating and empowering the aging community and their families as they navigate major life transitions, especially around housing, caregiving, and financial planning. In addition to her real estate work, Tamika owns and operates Double T Properties, a property management company that supports clients with investment portfolios. She also serves on the Maryland Realtors DEI Advisory Group and the Greater Baltimore Board of Realtors Events Committee. Charity Hilton, also here with us today, is the office manager at the CMAG Group, where she expertly balances administrative leadership with a strong commitment to team support and organizational excellence. Outside of work, Charity has a background in brand marketing, social media content creation, and event planning. As a proud member of the sandwich generation, caring for both her child and aging family members, she's here to share her firsthand experience navigating the emotional and logistical demands of being in the middle. Charity brings an honest, heartfelt perspective to today's conversation, opening up about how she juggles caregiving, career, and personal growth while finding strength and grace along the way. Thank you for being with us today.
Right. I am super, super excited about talking with these wonderful, wonderful people today. Oh my gosh, this is a good topic, especially as we're, right around Mother's Day, being a mom and taking care of multiple generations is really what we're going to be talking about today. So today's episode, we're really going to be diving into a topic that I think resonates for a lot of us. And even though we're focusing it around moms because it is Mom's Day or Mother's Day, excuse me. Um, but we're going to be talking about that sandwich generation and just to define it in case anybody doesn't know what a sandwich generation is, but people who are raising kids but also taking care of mom or dad or grandmom or auntie or whomever else in their family, but they're elders, and we're hopefully going to talk a little bit about the role and how you really fill it with love and sacrifice and joy and all the things that go into raising kids and taking care of our families at the same time. So whether you're in it now or maybe in the future, this whole entire time we're going to be really talking about navigating that emotional, physical, and logistical reality of holding it all together, right? So I'm super, super excited. We have Charity, who many of you have heard her voice before because she does our intros, but I asked her to sit on the other side of the table today and be a part. And then we also have Miss Tamika Thompson, and I'm super, super excited to have her join us, so that we can really get in and talk and have some fun. So that's the whole goal today. We're gonna laugh and have fun and hopefully give some people some resources and everything. So I'm gonna stop talking for a second. I'm gonna ask you all to, just sort of tell us, I mean, we've heard your bios and all that good stuff, but like tell us a little bit about your family setup. Like, what you got going on in your family. So Tamika, if you want to start, and then Cherry, you want to jump in, and then we'll just sort of go from there.
Sure thing. So thank you so much, Dr. Angela.
Please just call me Angela.
Can I start over?
Please just call me Angela. It's really good.
Okay, well, thank you, Angela.
Nope, we're keeping that. We're keeping it.
Thank you, Angela and CMAG Charity and all of you guys for having me here today, for welcoming me. Your office is wonderful. Your staff is wonderful. Everybody's great. It's been a great welcome. This is my first podcast as a guest, so I'm super excited about that, and I'm super excited about this topic, the sandwich generation. And just to kind of play off of that, Angela, were you aware that there are different variations of the sandwich generation?
Uh-oh, about to get schooled a little bit, Charity. Hold
Just
on,
a
come on
little
now,
bit, just
come
a
on
little
now.
bit.
I knew it was coming. I'm
So-
not surprised. So talk to me.
So there's the sandwich generation, which you explain, which typically encompasses adults age, let's say 35 to 50, who are raising children as well as taking care of their aging parents.
Freudian slip. Go ahead.
Right.
Yes.
And
Right.
then we have the club sandwich generation, which is that age group who also has grandchildren with younger children and aging parents, because maybe like myself, they may have had children younger in life and then had children again as they've gotten older. Where thankfully I'm not a grandmom yet. However, I do have adult children that could very well put me from the sandwich generation to the club sandwich generation. And the other one was
Club sandwich
the
generation.
open face sandwich generation. You ready for this one? The open
So wait,
face.
this is one of those moments when I wish that we had a video podcast so that everybody could see my face and Charity's face, because both of us are like, what?
See,
Okay,
you
I'm
didn't
sorry.
even realize
Wait.
there are many levels to the sandwich generation. The open face generation are those adult children who do not have children but are caring for aging parents.
Okay, we're about to have a whole nother episode. Go ahead, come on now, preach, bring it,
Okay.
bring it. You about to be Sipta Thompson in about 3 minutes. Come on, Sipta Thompson, let's go.
Yeah, so like I said, there are different levels to the sandwich generation, and just you bringing it to my attention has really allowed me to kind of dive in and see the different aspects and the different ways that each of these individual groups are going to play a role in this aging population. As you know, the baby boomers are the largest population that we have right now. With, I believe,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, I heard over 11 million are in this baby boomer generation. So it is one of the largest populations we have right now. And I think this sandwich generation has come about because of the Gen X and the elder millennials, as I've been told that I am currently.
An elder
An
millennial.
elder
I love it.
millennial, yes. That's disrespectful. But, just because of that shift, we are experiencing a lot more adult children who are in this position. Of course, for decades, the transition has been your parents raise you, you have your families get, and then your parents get older typically, and then that transition continues. But I think because of this generation being as large as it is, and the generation of millennials and Gen X's who are deciding to wait longer to have children, because I don't know, I know for my family, my mom had her first child at 16, and my aunts and uncles, they had their children in their early 20s, or maybe even 19 or 18. So it's allowing that generation to now kind of grow up where your parents are only 20 years older than you, which which
Yeah.
really puts us in that position. So now at when you're 30 and you want to have children, now your parents are 50. And so now you're raising those children as your parents get older. And that's where I think the population has really grown to this sandwich generation, where it was not necessarily the case a few decades ago or a generation or so ago.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, it didn't, like, even though growing up, like, I know my grandmother was around, you know what I mean? But it's like by the time she was getting ill, I was significantly older. Like, I was actually helping my mom take care of my grandmother, right?
Same.
But tell me, like, so like, I know you're a part of the sandwich generation, so you're not club sandwich, you're not open face sandwich, so you're sandwich generation. So
Right.
different layers. I know, right? So you are a sandwich generation. So you have adult children, but then you also have some school age children, and then you're also helping to take care of your mom to a certain degree. Is that right?
Correct, correct. So I am
Okay.
multi-generational children. So I have adult children who are 26 and 22, and then I have those are what I call the bigs. And then I have the littles who are 11 and 10. Um, with
Okay.
my parents, both of my parents, they're still active. Um, my mom still works, my dad doesn't. However, my mom has two sisters, which I'm my mom's only child. One of her sisters only has one child, a daughter, and her other sister does not have any children. And my mom is the youngest of
Okay.
those three sisters. So, with that, I am myself and my cousin are the primary caregivers for her and her sisters, because none of them are married.
Gotcha.
It's just us. My mom's older sister does have a partner
Hmm.
that she's been with forever, but he doesn't have much family. So essentially, as he continues to age, they're all gonna that responsibility falls on us. And
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mom,
Yeah.
it's as she is still active, and like I said, my dad, they're still active, they're still independent. There are times
Hmm.
where they've had surgeries. My mom had her hip replaced. She lives alone, so that was a time where I had to step in and say, okay, you know I had to be her
Hmm.
caregiver in that scenario. Even with
Yeah. Yeah.
her
Yeah.
being the youngest of the daughters, she was the caregiver for my grandmother. So as close as me and my mom are, I, just like you, had that experience with helping her care for my grandmother as she aged and as she transitioned and things of that nature. So I've been in the sandwich generation, unbeknownst to myself, for quite some time now.
Yeah. 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 So, well, I appreciate you sharing everything that you've shared and enlightening us of the different types of sandwich generation. So I appreciate that. So I'm gonna turn over to Miss Charity. So Miss Charity, so I'm putting you on blast. So you are a millennial? No. What? I don't know. I'm not gonna put your
Mm,
age on blast.
I just been told I'm an auntie. So what that fall
Under.
What year were you born?
I'm auntie now. 91.
Oh,
Yes. So I believe
Did you
I'm
just all
sorry.
me,
I
Angela?
apologize. I apologize.
you are.
We can take that part
I
out.
believe
Nope.
you are a
No, we're not. We're
millennial.
not.
Keep it.
So
You're
you
you're
are a
not an
millennial.
elder,
Yes.
a
So you
millennial.
Look, I'll take it.
no. Miss Charity, our millennial of the group, and I'm the Gen Xer. I'm the old end, but that's okay. So I'm the elder of the group. But Charity, tell us a little bit about your family makeup. I know you are sandwich generation mom and daughter. Tell us a little bit about sort of your experience in that space, if you will.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. And I learned a lot just now from
Okay,
Tamika.
I
Thank
know,
you.
right?
I try.
So yeah, so my caregiving days really start with taking care of my grandmother. So that really is where the dynamic started with my grandmother. But in my household, it is my siblings. I'm the middle child, so that says a lot. I have an older brother and two younger siblings. But for some reason, I'm just the one that's just really hands on with the caregiving part of things in the family. My parents, my mom is still, thriving, working, taking care of herself. I'm hands on when needed. But with my dad, I'm really hands on. He's currently in assisted living, dealing with early signs of dementia. So that's a lot right now.
Mhm.
And as Tamika was saying, it was a situation that I just happened to walk into and didn't even know it was happening
Mm.
until like a good 2 years into it. It started off with me just going to his house every weekend, cutting his hair, and then it just became more and
Let me
more.
find out you cut
Um,
hair.
I learned a lot.
So if anyone had not listened to other episodes before, so Charity and I are colleagues and work together, and I'm like, how do I not know you like everything? Anyway, I'm sorry. I digress. Go ahead.
Yes, no, it's okay. I also am a mom to
Mhm.
an 11-year-old, and she's a lot as well. So just the day to day. it can become a lot. But I try to move with grace. So yeah, that's
So we talked about this whole idea of being a part of the sandwich generation. So when did you all realize or have that moment when you realized that you are a part of the sandwich generation?
in a leadership meeting a couple Fridays ago.
In a leadership meeting a couple Fridays ago. I mean, that's real. Okay.
But I realized I was balancing work, trying to show up for myself, being a mom to my daughter, and stepping into caregiving role for my dad as well as my mom. As I said, not as much, but when needed. Um, I didn't know there was a name for it at first, but in the leadership meeting, I learned that this is what people mean by the sandwich generation. What I currently been doing for a couple of years now.
Same.
Okay. And Tamika, what? Okay.
Yes, same. Talking to Angela, was that last week? When we had our conversation about aging in place in my seminars and how your elder alarms and monitoring. And you said, I'm having a podcast about the sandwich generation. And I'm like, oh, what exactly is that? Which
Well,
is
and
what,
the thing is,
no, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. Go
No, I
ahead.
said that was really
No, I
when
was
I realized, like, oh, okay, that's the name of this, and yeah, this is where I am. So absolutely, very recent.
And where this all came from, and I guess I should have said this in the beginning, it's like we were talking about, just some of the challenges. And like I've shared with both of you, I used to be a part of the sandwich generation, but my parents have since passed away. And there is a lot to it. And I wanted to do this conversation or have this episode because I feel like there are a lot of people that are doing it that don't realize they're doing it because we sort of just start taking care of things. We just start, like we know we're a mom, but like we don't really realize. Like I knew I was taking care of my mother when I started calling her by her first name. That was that transition,
Mm.
not like in a
Right,
disrespectful way,
right.
but like she would do something, I'd be like, "Oh, Deanie, can you please?" You know what I mean? And it's like we would have, and it's like I
Yes.
saw a shift in our relationship happen,
Mm-hmm.
and but I didn't have a name for it, and I didn't realize how many people out there were dealing with it as well, because it is a thing, and like Charity, you said, balancing work and being a mom and taking care of family and just all the things. And like when I would have friends whose parents, either they were healthier and or younger than my parents, maybe, or whatever the situation is, and like their parents are helping with their kids and their parents are, coming over and cooking dinner or, and like still being a parent for them. I'm like, what does that feel like? And part of it's because my parents were older, but my mom got very ill and she was sick for a very long time before she passed away. So it's like those days of having like that mom figure other than conversational came to a close relatively early, and so it having these kinds of conversations I think is so important to help other people, whether you're a mom or a dad or an open faith in which generations where you may not have kids, but you're now stepping into that role of taking care of your parents. And so, but that as I have in my notes, the juggle is real, and it is. So, you all could sort of talk about like what are some of the biggest challenges you would say, like being that parent and the caregiver, and just briefly just sort of talk a little bit about what those challenges so Charity, I'll ask you this time. I'll ask you to jump in the first.
I'm honestly trying to be everything for everyone without burning out.
Ooh.
There's emotional labor involved in both roles and can be hard to feel like you're doing enough. Um, and definitely my thoughts can get the best of me. Like, did I see my dad enough this week? Did I show up for my daughter the way that she needed me to this week? Was I gone at the house too much running errands? So all that definitely is a challenge, dealing with these guilty thoughts throughout. So, and it's easy to go on autopilot. So it just catches up with you sometimes, a lot of times.
Wow. That's real. That's real. That autopilot is Because they'll be 10 days in and you realize, dang, I've been up by 7 every morning for the past, you
Yep.
know what I mean? Or like little things, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that thing may be. Wow,
So that you only slept 3 hours a day because you're ripping it. Yeah, it's a lot.
that's real. That's real. Miss Tamika,
Um,
so what would you say are like, some of the challenges that you've faced?
Absolutely. I definitely will piggyback off of what Charity said. That guilt, and I'll go a step further, like they call it the mom guilt. You know, am I doing everything I'm supposed to do to show up for my kids? Am I doing everything to show up for my family and my spouse? Am I calling my mom enough? Am I seeing them enough? Am I checking in? Am I making sure that everything's going on the way that it needs to go on with them, Um, so that's definitely a challenge, and that goes, beyond the work-life balance because that's seemingly already impossible for us to do. So adding that extra layer of being a caregiver for your parent, and whether it's, the extent where I know Charity, you're in it a lot deeper, for lack of a better word, than I am. But for most, if you are full-time caregivers for your parents as well as raising your family, it's going to be extremely hard to juggle that. And I think figuring out what you can do for yourself, because if you can't give yourself that time and give yourself that peace and kind of plan out what it is that you can do, then you're never going to really grasp the dynamic of making this situation the best, because it has its ups and downs. And I mean, I think for me, the positive, and maybe for a lot of moms, children, adult children who are in this space, is to look at it as, take this time to spend and have those conversations with your aging parent, because essentially they're not going to be here, and you're not going to have that time to ask these questions and to have these conversations and to get that insight. And I think now, because you're an adult and you can kind of reflect and see and say, oh, if my mom wasn't here, what would I ask her? If my dad wasn't here, what would that conversation be? How did they overcome these obstacles? And this is a good time while you are in that space and you do have that closeness with your parent, and your parent realizes, okay, my child is an adult. Now let me try to prepare them as much as I can through adulthood. So it can kind of go both ways, where you're caring for your parent,
Yeah.
but allowing your parent to still be a parent to you, because I think that's important for that aging parent. They don't want to feel like a burden to their children. I know no parent ever wants to feel like a burden to their child. So when they get to the point where their child where that role shifts, I think it's important for that aging parent to, one, acknowledge that their child is no longer a child. Of course, they're always going to be your children, but they're no longer a child. And now they're in a space to have those conversations with you that really need to be had. And that's where I think a lot of people in the sandwich generation may say the vulnerability and take advantage of the time that they have with that parent to start having those conversations that maybe their parents didn't have with them. Because we know the silent generation, they didn't talk about anything.
Yes. Yes.
And it left a
Okay.
lot of our parents scrambling,
A lot of holes.
yeah, not having this and not knowing what's going on. So I would 100%, and I know we're probably not there in the conversation, but one of the things that I would tell this generation, the sandwich generation, is to take the time and have these important conversations, because it's only going to help you in this space to kind of juggle that guilt and kind of make things right to help you out.
And I want to sort of dive into something that you just said. Really allowing your parent to still be your parent in some capacity. And I think that that does really help. And, sort of leading into another question that I have for both of you is like that. Do you feel like you get that recognition and support or appreciation even? And I know that can be challenging because you just sort of go in, right? And you're just sort of there being present for everybody under the sun. But do you all think that you've gotten the kind of support, and like how do you get what are the things that help from other family members, friends, whomever to like make this feasible and work? Either one of you want to just sort of jump in?
I feel as though with this situation, people do not receive not nearly enough support as they should.
Mm.
Just my opinion.
Okay.
Many people carry this silently. One reason why it's not talked about is because we don't even acknowledge the fact that we're in it. Like I said before, it just happens. It just becomes a part of your life overnight, and you don't even realize it. And for others, you don't have the structure support that you need, so it makes it hard for you to even ask for help or recognize that you need it. But I know, like for me, a big thing from I had built my village. So like my work family is a part of my village. I honestly don't know what I would do without y'all.
Oh,
Because
that's so sad.
I would lose it mentally.
That's so sad. I love that
so-
that we've been able to create a space that's like that for you. It means a lot. So I appreciate you.
I know it sounds weird, but my job is actually my safe space.
Well, and but I think one of the things, to your point as well, Tamika, you've created a space where you're vulnerable enough around us to say like, hey, I'm tired today. Or I may not be 100% because I was up half the night because of, helping out my daughter or helping out my dad or whatever the situation is, not getting into the weeds with it. But like you're willing to be vulnerable and honest about what you need. And that helps us to be able to be supportive to you. Because if you just came in with the charity smile and just like, hey, I'm there, we would never know that you need
Understand
that.
that.
So I appreciate your willingness to be vulnerable, to say like, hey, this is what I need today. And I think that that's why we're able to be supportive of you. And we are, and I say we because I feel like we really are genuinely blessed to have just an awesome, awesome team. And we really do genuinely care about each other, and so that is one of the cool things about what's sort of happened in this space called CMAG. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge that a part of this process of getting support is being willing to be vulnerable and honest with yourself about what you need. Because if you never tell people what you need, or at least even just be honest with how you're feeling, then the people that love and care about you don't have the ability to really know what to do. So it really does go both ways. It's not, and that's something that I've been learning over the years, that I have to be willing to say I'm tired, or I have to be willing to say, instead of just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Right. But anyway, so yeah, so I appreciate
Thanks for saying
that.
it that way. I needed to hear it that way. Because I look at it as nagging.
Oh my gosh.
But it's speaking up. I needed to hear it that way. Thank you.
Just having a whole kumbaya moment here. I apologize.
Yes, we are.
Yes, I love to see it. I love to see it.
Awesome. So Tamika, like, how do you find support or where does your support come from in this process?
Well, my support, it comes from my parents. They understand the dynamic because, especially my mom, she's gone through it just recently. So it's a dynamic that she understands, and I'm able to have these conversations with her now, so that when it is time for when she's not independent and when her sisters aren't independent, they're a great support now because they understand, and we're able to verbalize what our fears are, what our concerns are. So that's all the time. I'm like, my biggest fear is you. I don't want to say losing your mind. That sounds crazy, but you going into a space where you don't know who I am and we can't have conversations. I said, I don't care if you're immobile and whatever I have to do, but as long as I can sit next to your bed or sit next to your chair and we can just talk about anything, for me, that's one of my biggest fears, that my parents get to that age and I'm not able to do that. So just being able to vocalize, and just having them know, like you said, because they still know that I still need them as a parent. You're always going to want to have your parent. Of course, that's not life, but you're always going to want to have that space. So I think they've been a great support in that. They've also been really supportive in me stepping up and saying, "Hey, let's start having meetings." I have bi-monthly meetings with my mom and her two sisters, and it's called the Baylor Biddies. That's their last name, so I call them my biddies. So we have these bi-monthly aging planning meetings, and we talk about finances, we talk about housing, we talk about estates. I really get into it, and they put their trust in me to know, like I said, the silent generation, they didn't have these conversations. So it's important for us and for me to plan, because like I said, it's my cousin and I, and out of the two of us, I'm the planner. So I'm the one who's I don't want to be in these situations where I don't have the support, where they're not able to give me the support. I want to make sure that they're able to give me the support now while they can, while they're independent, so that when the time comes, we have plans in place. Because what did Benjamin Franklin say? If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So for that, if you can now, start planning now and use your aging parent, the parent that you're caring for, as your support system as long as you can. And of course, my husband's great, especially with the little kids, when I have to leave, or if there's something I need to do, if I need to stay at my mom's house overnight or whatever the case may be, I definitely have that support system at home.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. And so I'm going to share just a really, really quick story about how our parents stay our parents literally to the end. So, I swear this is not like a morbid story, but it's just, I think it's so poignant for this. So, my mom, she was very, like I said earlier, she was very sick for a very long time. And, the day she went into hospice. So the day I got the call from hospice, the infamous, you need to come on over. Like that, the call, right? And it was on my birthday. And my wife literally whispered in my mom's ear. And she told me this later. She was just like, today's Angie's birthday. And my mom held on for another day. Like, so she, actually 2 days, really, technically. But you know what I mean? But like, she held on. Like, oh, okay. So even at that point when she was not talking anymore, I mean? Like, we were at the very, very end, she still was mom. Like, they never stopped being your parent.
Right.
Even in that last thing, like, that was the last gift that she gave me. Like, oh, I'm not doing that to her. That's, and my mom, I get my humor 100% from you. I mean, my dad was funny too, but my mom was like definitely the goofball in a good way. I mean, not in a disrespectful way, but like I could totally see her be like, oh, Lord, okay. I got another 24, 48 hours. Okay, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't gonna do that to her, because she'll never celebrate her daggone birthday again. All right, I got you. Like, I can totally see her having that conversation, And so it's like, even in that space, she still was like, okay, I got you. You know what I mean? So it's like, they really do stay being your parent. And even when, things are getting hard and stuff like that, they don't like being a burden. They don't, so the more that I would talk to her about what was going on at work, even when she was at hospice, I'd be like, how was your day? And I would talk to her about stuff and who was doing what, who got on my nerves, and, all the things. And that brought her joy, because she was still able to give me advice. And even though half of it was, well, I don't like her anyway. You need to go ahead, but it's like, it really kept a balance, and it helped me to, you know, not always have to be the grown up in the situation. I could have those conversations where I could actually be the kid. And that is super, super important. Um,
I can definitely agree with that, Angela.
Okay.
Like when I do go see my dad, even though he has dementia, he has moments when I'm like, are you sure you really have dementia? Because he's always checking in
I
on
love
me.
it.
Like I can tell him something one week and he'll bring it up. It could be a month later, but he remembers some way, somehow he remembers and he checks in. And the moments when I do visit, I do feel like I can be a kid because I'm actually really goofy. And my dad, we can crack jokes and everything. I can still be me, even though I'm there to check in on him and take care of him. Because, like, even down to the part of me having to change him, it was like, whoa, whoa, now I'm still your father now. I'm like, Dad,
I don't want to see
this
none
has
of
to get
that.
done here.
we just handling business. Look, you know, it is what it is. Dude.
Yes, yes. Like, so we can still have those moments. He can still be dad, and I can still be his little goofy daughter. You know,
I
so
love it. I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
get that.
That's what's
absolutely.
up. So when we start, you know, and Charity, you mentioned this like about the emotional load. You talked about this earlier in the conversation, and you know, and you talked about the emotional. I think if memory serves, you said like the emotional labor involved. You know, we've talked about like how we get support and stuff, but like, and people talk about self care, and I'm not talking about the self care like, oh, I need to go get my nails done kind of self care. I'm talking about the genuine emotional self care. Like, what are some of the things that you do to sort of manage the emotional side of, you know, and we talk a lot, we've been talking a lot about taking care of the parents, but even just the taking care of our kids, like how do you guys handle the emotional side of that? Are there things that you sort of do? I know, Tamika, you talked about like the planning side sort of helps you to sort of keep things in order. Like, what are some of the things that you guys do to address that?
Cry in the shower.
You said what? Cry in the
Cry in the
shower?
shower.
That's that is so real.
Yes,
That
I
is
mean,
That's
so
real.
real.
you give yourself a good cry and don't feel bad about it, and wash it away.
Okay.
And you know, for me, I have to take mini breaks, whatever that looks like. Whether that's going for a
Mhm.
walk, whether it's just sitting outside on my porch for 15 or 20 minutes, just detaching, you know, as much as I can sometimes. And only if it's just for a few minutes, it'll at least give me time to breathe and just get some mental clarity for myself. So definitely mini breaks are key to not burning out for
Okay.
me.
And that's really, really good because a lot of times people always talk about the big breaks, the vacations or the day away, but like sometimes it's just those 10, 15 minutes. So that's good.
Hmm.
Charity, you want to jump in there?
Prayer closet.
Oh, okay.
Um, yes, I really have a closet, and Chloe knows when my door's shut, please do not interrupt. Because I'm big in my faith,
Hmm.
and also music. If I have my AirPods in, I need to zone out. And outside is really helpful for me as well, going for long walks. I just need a second.
Okay. So I'm gonna
Those
ask
things help.
a silly but real question because I've heard people answer multiple ways. So when you say prayer closet, do you have a physical space or are you saying your prayer closet as like a I can't think of the word I want, but like more of a figurative thing.
No, I actually have a closet,
Okay.
and I go sit in, and I sit on the floor, and I just
Okay.
pray, cry, do whatever's needed.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
yes.
Absolutely.
And I asked that because that some people call it their prayer closet, but it doesn't mean they're going to a physical space. But you've created a physical space for you.
Yes.
That's the same.
Yes, because I want to feel like I shut the world off,
Awesome.
turned it off.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
That is really, really awesome.
That's a
I
good
swear, I
idea.
wish, and I mean, it really is. And one of the things that I've always been so impressed by you, Miss Charity, is your like you're just such an old soul, right? Like I think about me when I was your age. Like I wasn't thinking
Mhm.
about creating a prayer closet for myself.
Not at all.
I wasn't thinking of, you know what I mean? Like that just was not on the radar for me. And I have my faith walk. I love my Heavenly Father. You know what I mean? but like I never would have thought to like create that kind of a physical
Mhm.
space for me.
Right.
And that's amazing. You're a powerhouse. Okay. Anyway.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean yeah. Like you gotta have me at home trying to figure out what closet I'm about to turn
Yes. What
into.
closet can I put a
'Cause I
nice
mean I can
comfy bag and some
imagine.
Like, I think
pillows
the
in?
space. Yes.
You know, like I'm really envisioning this space that's like in the idea of like sitting on the floor. Like it's not it's just
Mhm.
like you just really are literally
Yes.
grounded. Dude, I love it. I love it. That's what's up. So we've talked a little bit about the challenges, but like when you've had, because I'm assuming just from our conversation here and our previous conversations that you've had moments of burnout. But like, what are some of the signs that you've seen for yourself that you would share for other people to think about? Like, if you see yourself doing this, you need to get some help. You know what I mean? Like, what are those signs that you've seen for yourself that you want to share with other people so they can just be like, oh crap, maybe I am burning out.
Constantly feeling tired, or when you lose joy in things that you really do love to do.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
definitely a good one. Yeah, when you get to those moments where you don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to answer your phone, you want to get in the car and drive away. You have no destination. You just want to
Mm,
get away from where you are.
That's a good one.
mm,
Yes. Yes.
okay.
Yep.
So when you have those, like when you hit those moments, how do you pull back and recharge? Like how do you get back in it and not just keep going down the rabbit hole of burnout?
I think for me, sometimes I have to just go through it. I have to take a day. I have to ignore people for the day. I mean, within reason, of course. Um,
Like, mommy, can I have food today? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
No food for you.
yeah, so for me, I just have to go through it because not acknowledging it makes the burn grow even more. So one, you have to realize like,
Mm,
okay, I'm in a space where I've exhausted myself. I can't fully give any more of me. There's no more of me right now to give. And I need to lay in it for a moment. If I do get in my car and drive, I have to have a destination that I can come back. But I just need to have that space and that time for myself to regroup. And, like Charity said, whether that's taking time to pray, we talked about the mini breaks, but once you get to that point where you feel like you didn't take enough mini breaks or, at this time prayer isn't working because of course prayer works, but it works on its own time. So for that,
mm,
for me personally, I just have to go through it, sit in it, and give myself the day and start the next day fresh.
okay. Okay.
I'm honestly still learning. Um,
That's real.
s- Sometimes I just continue to keep going until I really crash out. Um, so yeah, I'm honestly still
And that's
learning.
true. Like
Yeah, I
my answer
appreciate
was
that.
very PC, but my body will tell me as well when I burn out. Like I will catch a
Yeah.
cold in the middle of the summer because I'm just going and going. I'm not resting. I'm up all night. I'll get
Yep.
2 or 3 hours of sleep, and my body will shut down. Like, what are you doing? That's not how we operate. And it'll get to the
Yep.
point where I have
Mm,
no choice but to sit down somewhere
mm-hmm.
because I have a fever and it's 108 degrees outside, or I'm fully congested. I can't, like, so my body will shut itself down. And the older I've
Mm,
gotten, I have to learn to listen to your body. You can't ignore it. You can't keep going if your body's like, no, this isn't what we're going to do today. You have to listen to that. And that's
mm.
one of the ways
That's
that
like
that burnout is real.
yeah. The old folks
Yeah.
would say, if you don't take a break, God will give you a break.
Yep.
It's like
Sit you down real quick.
sometimes yeah.
And that's actually funny. That's something that pops in my head, and I try to like all right, you really need to sit down for God sits you down. I do not want God to sit me
No.
down. I would rather
Because it's never
I choose to
pleasant.
do that myself. Yeah, it's never pleasant. So I try to keep that in mind, but still,
No.
I don't
But
stop.
I appreciate your honesty about that, because a lot of times we don't even listen to the signals, even when we know what those signals are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And we see the flashing red lights, but we still are like, okay, I can just do this one more thing. I can just knock out this. And I do it, whether it's taking care of family or work or whatever, like, and I'll be walking around like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And instead of sitting my tail down, what do? Go get a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Or, go for a walk and keep pushing it, or
Right.
whatever it is.
You getting drinking
So
that
I really
espresso at 6
appreciate you
p.m.
being honest. Okay, because I still got work to do.
Right.
Um, oh my gosh. I can't believe we've been talking already for 43 minutes. So we're to start actually wrapping up in a minute, because, I want to honor you all's time. But this conversation has been absolutely phenomenal. I feel like we could do like a whole nother episode and just keep going.
Absolutely.
So don't get surprised if I
Really
call you back.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
seriously, because there's just so much. So, but I do want to sort of start wrapping up. Excuse me. I do want to start wrapping us up a little bit. So one of the questions I have, and I'm interested to hear in, because realistically, across the three of us, there's like almost 20 years between, it's like 10 years almost between each of us. So we're in different periods of our lives. But like, what have you learned about yourself in this journey of being a parent, taking care of your parents, you know, all those things? Like, what has it taught you about yourself?
I'm stronger than I thought.
Mm.
Asking for help isn't weak. It's wise.
Wait,
Boundaries
pause.
and
I need to pause on that one. Asking for help isn't weak, it's wise. That right there,
Mhm.
like, I feel like that's the quote of the day.
Yes.
Asking for help is not weak, it is wise. I just needed to pause on that, because that right
Yeah.
there, that's a word for somebody right now.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Keep talking. I apologize. I'm about to write that
You're
down.
fine.
I'm writing that down literally right now.
Boundaries and self-care, they aren't optional. They're necessary. I'm still learning that. I have learned how to ask for help and remind myself that I cannot pour from an empty cup. And as I said, these are still lessons I'm actively learning on, but I'm proud of the progress I have made.
That's what's up. That's beautiful. Miss Tamika.
What I've learned about myself in this journey is communication is important. Planning is important.
Mm.
Having difficult conversations are important, and they're needed. And for me, it has taught me to look beyond myself, but to also reflect on what I am learning from having these conversations, and how that can play a role in helping other people as they go
Okay.
through these things.
So, and I'm gonna put you on blast just for like 2.5 seconds, real quick, because what you're talking about, you haven't just literally done for yourself. You truly are doing this for other people. So, I would love for you to talk a little bit about the work that you're doing to help other families on this journey and help other people in that sandwich club sandwich open face sandwich generation. I'm never letting that go.
So many sandwiches.
I know,
Helping
right?
the deli generation.
Yeah,
I like that.
deli. Oh, here we go. Here we
I
go.
love that.
The deli generation. Stop it. But
That was good.
that was
Tamika.
real good. I like that. I like that. So, but all jokes aside, but seriously, like, because you're doing some really phenomenal stuff to try to support other people in this space. So if you could just share with us a few minutes about the work that you're doing, because I think it's just really, really important.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. So the first thing I I am a senior real estate specialist, which means I specialize in helping adults age 50 and older with their unique real estate needs, as well as their families. So, in this space, I've created a seminar series called Aging Smart, Confident Planning for Home, Wealth, and Well-Being. And these seminars are geared for aging adults and their families to start having these conversations. These topics range from aging in place to estates, trusts, wills, financial planning. And within that, I've also carved out a space for adult children where I'm planning to host adult children who are raising their parents, in air quotes. In this space will allow will allow the adult children to start thinking about the conversations they need to have with their families and being prepared so when the inevitable happens, it's not a scramble. It's not making hasty decisions because you don't know what to do next and not having the right resources. So the goal for me is to create a space where one, the aging community can receive the information they need because a lot of them don't realize that they have options, especially when it comes to their home. And, a lot of people, when they get a certain age, once they retire, they may want to relocate to be closer to the family. They may want a space where their family can live with them. They want to stay in their house. They want to stay independent. And they don't really know the options that they have. So my seminars are geared towards educating and empowering those seniors so that they have that information. And then on the back end, helping the family members to help them make those decisions and to know that they're there and those resources are there for them. And that is the space that I am creating, which, of course, like you said, it's come off of my experience in me learning and as I grow to know that this is what needs to be done. And I haven't seen this out there. I haven't seen a platform really or support system or the resources for this community, my community, our community, the Delhi community.
The Delhi community. I love it. I love it. No, and I truly believe that what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to ask you to tell people how they can learn about the seminars and all that good stuff.
Well, first thing, you could definitely follow me on social media. I am at Tamika Thompson Realtor on Instagram and Facebook, LinkedIn, Tamika Thompson Realtor. And my website, my Instagram, everything will show you where seminars are. I've actually kind of refocused the direction of the seminars where I will host these seminars and lunch and learns at different senior centers throughout Baltimore City and Baltimore County. So whenever I have a new seminar coming up, they'll be posted. Then they'll also be posted throughout the senior centers as well.
That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Well, I appreciate you. And Miss Charity, I know that this is not necessarily your focus from like a professional perspective, but you're doing just some amazing stuff. And I can only imagine how proud your family are of you. Just knowing you and being able to get to know you over the last year and a half now. A
Yes.
year.
Yes, it is. Yep.
But just getting to know you and your story and everything. I mean, you're just doing some really, really cool stuff. And you are always just automatically sort of a resource for people and quick to be a resource for people. And you are greatly, greatly appreciated in that regard.
Thank you, Angela.
So I'm going to ask you each to just sort of say one thing about, how do you give yourself grace when something has had to take a back seat? Like, how do you find your way to give, you all both talked in the beginning about the guilt. and the fears of, am I taking care of my kids the way I need to? Have I reached out to mom the way I need to, or dad the way I need to, or all those things? So like, I want to sort of bring this full circle. Like, how do you give yourself grace to not, or to pull yourself out of that guilty space, and share that with some folks so that other people can sort of think through, okay, how do I need to give myself grace?
So for me, I feel like if it doesn't kill you, it will make you stronger. So whatever needs to take a back seat, we only have 24 hours in a day. And you have to prioritize those things that need to be done in those 24 hours. So when something takes a back seat, it's something that can take a back seat. It's not going to be the end of the world. And if whatever you decide to put in that back seat or for take a back seat and it is the end of the world, it just didn't get accomplished in that day. And that's what it is, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, you have to give yourself grace. You can't stress yourself out about things that are out of your control. And that's how, for me, that's how I give myself grace. Because if I can't do it and it doesn't get done, what's the worst that can happen? It's not going to be something that's astronomical. It's not going to end the world.
Okay. And that makes sense. I mean, it's just real practical. Like, if I can't get it done, I can't get it done.
Exactly.
And you gotta just sort of accept that you can't, to use your words, Charity, you can't be all things for all people, right? Or I don't know, you may not have said it quite like that, but
Yeah.
okay, right.
And I mean, you can't.
So
It's really, you have to, one, prioritize yourself, because like you said, you can't pour out of an empty cup. And prioritize once you've put in what you need to put in for yourself and then for your family, whatever those things that are taking a back seat, they needed to take a back seat. They weren't a priority, because you're going to get done the things that need to get done when they need to get done. And for me, that's how I have to give myself grace.
Right. That's what's up. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Miss Charity.
I remind myself I cannot do everything. Even though I try, I cannot. And if it does not get done, there's tomorrow or someone else can do it.
Ooh.
That part. Get somebody else to do it.
And that, yes. And I'm doing my best, and that's all I can do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm going to share with you all something that I put in place in my journey that I just think that I would like to offer to you all. Before, like right now, think about what your breaking point is, or what you can't handle, and think about what that looks like. So, and I actually went through this with my mother when she was taking care of my grandmother. My grandmother was living with my mother. And I said to her, Mommy, I need you to decide what's your breaking point when you're going to, move forward with an assisted living, or move forward with getting some staff in here, or move forward. Like, what are your breaking points? And decide what that is now, because otherwise you will just keep reinventing yourself and developing a new normal and taking yourself down and not realizing it, and getting outside of your wheelhouse or outside of what's even possible without realizing it. And so I remember she said to me, if grandma starts falling, like, and like hurting herself, or something like hurting herself, or something that I just can't control and need someone else to be able to keep an eye on her, that's when I know I need to look at other options, whether it's staff in the house or a nursing facility, whatever it is. And so one day my grandmother literally opened up the basement steps thinking she was going into her bedroom. So she just walked. At 80 some years, I think she was like maybe 82, 83 at that time. She fell down the basement step, didn't break nothing. Nothing. I don't know how she did it, but I looked at my mother like, I think and so it was like, but because we had, and it goes to the point that you made, Tamika, having the conversations, doing the planning ahead of time. What's my breaking point? And deciding what that is and tell somebody so they can identify it and say like, hey, remember we talked 6 months ago and you said if daddy started doing this, we needed to do that. Or you remember 7 months ago when you said if mom starts doing this, we need to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing that you want to put in place for yourself.
Right.
So, and it really helped me even with my mom, like after she had her stroke, I, you know, I made some decisions on, okay, this is what I can do for her, and this is what I know I can't, because it wouldn't be good for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it helped me to make some decisions in the moment that I probably would not have been able to make.
Know your
So I just
strengths
wanted
and
to sort of
weaknesses.
share that. Exactly. You know what I mean? And I knew that there were certain things I just could not do to help her. And it would have been a disservice to her and me if I tried to push beyond that point. So I just want to sort of share that as a part of my journey. Um, I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed this conversation. It has
Same.
been so much fun. You guys have been so wonderful, and I appreciate your transparency, your vulnerability. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, there's a listener out there that's having an aha moment, may even be sitting with a tissue, talking about, okay,
I can do this.
you know what I mean? Because I can do this because I didn't even realize I was a part of this sandwich generation. So whatever it is, I say to the folks that are listening, there are other people that are going through it. If you need support, you need to reach out to Tamika, and, you know, and connect with other people that are dealing with the same thing. So with that, I say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been absolutely wonderful. I look forward to having you guys back and talking about this or other things. Impact Innovations has been an absolute joy, and I'm excited to bring this platform to the community so that people can talk about different topics. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Join us next time for more Impact Innovations.